Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunnavadi Paschata Dishatarine Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naranchaiva Narottamam Deving Saraswating Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nittang Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Srimad Bhagavatam. I was asked to select a verse and speak on. So I selected the verse from the first canto, 9th chapter, text 39. This chapter is entitled as The Passing Away of Bhishma Dev. Is that all right? Hari Vilas Prabhu? Hare Krishna. Also, yes, we are okay, we just selected this verse. Vijaya Ratha Kutumba. Actually, it is the H should not be there. I think there's a mistake in there, in the printing mistake, because anyway, it's not Kutumbha, it's Kutumba. The Sanskrit is saying Kutumba. Kutumba Attatatre Dhrita Haya Rashmini Tach Shriyakshaniya Shriyakshaniye Bhagavati Ratir Astu Me Mumurshor Yam Iha Niriksha Hata Gataha Swarupam Vijayo Ratha Kutumba Attatatre Dhrito Hayorashmini Tachreyakshaniye Dhrito Hayorashmini Tachreyakshaniye Bhagavati Ratirastu Me Mumurshora Jami Haniriksha Hata Gata Swarupam Vijayo Ratha Kutumba Attatatre Dhrito Hayarashmini Tachriyakshaniye Bhagavati Ratirastu Me Mumurshor Yami Haniriksha Hatagata Swarupam Vijayo Ratha Kutumba Attatatre Dhrito hayarashmini tachriyekshaniye Bhagavati ratirastu me mumurshor Yami haniriksha hatagata swarupam. Ratha kutumbat tatre Dhrita hayarashmini tachriyekshaniye Bhagavati ratirastu me mumurshor Jami haniriksha hatagata swarupam. Vijaya ratha kutumbat tatre Dhrita hayarashmini tachriyekshaniye Bhagavati ratirastu me mumurshor Jami haniriksha hatagata swarupam. Mataji's Nintachriyekshaniye Bhagavati ratirastu me mumurshor Jami haniriksha hatagata sarupam. Vijaya, Arjun, Ratha, chariot, Kutumbe, the object of protection at all risk. Attotatre, with a whip in the right hand. Dhrita Hayo, controlling the horses. Rashmini, ropes. Tatshriya, beautifully standing. Ikshaniye, to look at. Bhagavati, unto the personality of Godhead. Rati astu, let my attraction be. Mumursho, one who is about to die. Yam, upon whom. Iha, in this world. Niriksha, by looking. Haya, those who died. Hataha, those who died. Gataha, attained. Swarupam, original form. Translation by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. At the moment of death, let my ultimate attraction be to Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. I concentrate my mind upon the chariot driver of Arjun, who stood with a whip in his right hand and a bridle rope in his left, who was very careful to give protection to Arjun's chariot by all means. Those who saw him on the battlefield of Kurukshetra attained their original forms after death. Please repeat after me. At the moment of death, let my ultimate attraction be to Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. I concentrate my mind upon the chariot driver of Arjun, who stood with a whip in his right hand and a bridle rope in his left. Bridle, okay. Who was very careful to give protection to Arjun's chariot by all means. Those who saw him on the battlefield of Kurukshetra attained their original forms after death. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. A pure devotee of the Lord constantly sees the presence of the Lord within himself because of being transcendentally related by loving service. Such a pure devotee cannot forget the Lord for a moment. This is called the trance. The mystic yogi tries to concentrate upon the supersoul by controlling the senses from all other engagements, and thus he ultimately attains samadhi. A devotee more easily attains samadhi or trance by constantly remembering the Lord's personal feature along with his holy name, fame, pastimes, etc. Therefore, the concentration of the mystic yogi and that of the devotee are not on the same level. The concentration of the mystic is mechanical, whereas that of the pure devotee is natural in pure love of spontaneous affection. Bhishmadev was a pure devotee and a military marshal. He constantly remembered the battlefield feature of the Lord as Parthasarathi, the chariot driver of Arjuna. Therefore, the Lord's pastimes as Parthasarathi is also eternal. The pastimes of the Lord, beginning from his birth at the prison house of Kamsa up to the Moshal Leela at the end, all move one after another in all the universes, just as the clock hands moves from one point to another. And in such pastimes, his associates like the Pandavas and Bhishma are constant eternal companions. So Bhishmadev never forgot the beautiful feature of the Lord as Parthasarathi, which even Arjuna could not see. Arjuna was behind the beautiful Parthasarathi, while Bhishmadev was just in front of the Lord. As far as the military feature of the Lord is concerned, Bhishmadev observed this with more relish than Arjuna. All the soldiers and persons on the battlefield of Kurukshetra attained their original spiritual form like the Lord after their death, because by the causeless mercy of the Lord they were able to see him face to face on that occasion. The conditioned souls rotating in the evolutionary cycle from the aquatics up to the form of Brahma are all in the form of Maya, or the form obtained by one's own actions and awarded by material nature. The material forms of the conditioned souls are all foreign races, and when the conditioned soul becomes liberated from the clutches of material energy, he attains his original form. The impersonalist wants to attain the impersonal Brahman effulgence of the Lord, but that is not at all congenial to the living sparks, parts and parcels of the Lord. Therefore, the impersonalists again fall down and get material forms, which are all false to the spirit soul. A spiritual form like the Lord's, either two-handed or four-handed, is attained by the devotees of the Lord, either in the Vaikunthas or in the Goloka planet, according to the original nature of the soul. This form, which is cent% spiritual, is the Sarup of the living being. And all the living beings who participated in the battlefield of Kurukshetra on both sides attained their Sarupa, or confirmed by Bhishma Dev. So Lord Sri Krishna was not merciful only to the Pandavas. He was also merciful to the other parties because all of them attained the same result. Bhishmadev wanted the same facility also, and that was his prayer to the Lord. Although his position as an associate of the Lord is assured in all circumstances. The conclusion is that whoever dies looking on the personality of Godhead, within or without, attains his Sarup, which is the highest perfection of life. Om Ajnanati Mirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chukshurun Militang Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishthang Sthapitang Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayham Dadati Swapadantikam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bijayo Kutumba Atta Tatre, Dhritahayo Rashmini Tachriyakshaniye, Bhagavati Ratirastu Me Mumurshar, Jamiha Niriksha Hata Gata Sarupam. At the moment of death, let my ultimate attraction be to Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. I concentrate my mind upon the chariot driver of Arjuna, who stood with a whip in his right hand and a bridle rope in his left, who was very careful to give protection to Arjuna's chariot by all means. Those who saw him on the battlefield of Kurukshetra attained their original forms after death. So, passing away of Bhishmadev. Bhishmadev, as you all know, is a pure devotee of the Lord. He is one of the 12 Mahajans. But by Krishna's divine arrangement, Bhishmadev sided with the Kauravas. He didn't side with Krishna, he sided. There are various reasons. One of the main reasons is the consideration of moral principles, ethical principles. According to the Vedic understanding, when one is siding with someone, when one is maintained by someone, his duty is to side with him. Because Bhishmadev was maintained by Kauravas. Although he was the grandsire, although he was actually the head of the family, although Bhishmadev was actually the actual descendant to possess the throne, but Bhishmadev relinquished that right. He was the rightful successor to the throne. How many of you know that background? How many of you don't know the background? How many of you want to hear the background? Okay. Bhishmadev was the son of King Shantanu, the king of the Kuru dynasty, and his mother was Ganga Devi. And the condition that Ganga Devi had while King Shantanu proposed to her for marriage, Ganga Devi made a condition that he would never question her actions. He will never try to prevent her from doing something. If he did, then she would leave. There's also another background to that. That is, there were 8 Basus. As Prabhupada also mentioned, that Bhishmadev was one of the best of the 8 Vasus. The Vasus are a set of demigods. There are different sets of demigods. Adityas, there are 12 Adityas, and Suras and Vasus is one. There are 8 Vasus. They are demigods. So once the 8 Vasus were traveling, and they were passing by, they were traveling through their spacecraft. And when they were passing over Vasishta Muni's ashram, one of their wives saw that beautiful cow, the daughter of Surabhi, Nandini. That's the only Surabhi cow in this material nature. Daughter of Nandini, daughter of Surabhi, Nandini. So seeing that cow, she desired to have her. I want the cow, I want that cow. So they told that, look, this is Vasishta's cow, and you should not covet this cow. This cow is very dear to her. And unfortunately but she kept on insisting, no, I want this cow, I want this cow. So they came down. Unfortunately, Vasishta Muni was not there at that time in the ashram. So they stole the cow. So when Vasishta Muni came and saw that that Nandini was not there, so he wondered what happened. And he's a Trikaladarshi, he can see the past, present and future. So he saw what happened in the past. The Vasus came and stole the cow. So Vasishta cursed them that you are not fit to live in the heavenly planet. Your activities are not befitting a demigod's activity. Take birth in the earth planet as a human being. So when the Vasus became aware of that curse, they just came to Vasishta, fell at his feet and said, please forgive us, we made a mistake. Vasishta said, okay, the word that has gone out of my mouth is not going to go in vain. It's going to happen. So, you have to take birth as human beings. But if Ganga agrees to become your mother, then you will be delivered right after your birth. But the one who stole the cow, he'll have to stay there for a long, long time. So then they approached Mother Ganga and said, please bear us in your womb as your children in order to deliver us from our terrible curse that we received from Vasishta. So Ganga agreed. Now there is another background to that. There's a king called Pratip. He, due to his pious activities, was elevated to Satyaloka, abode of Lord Brahma. So they were sitting in the assembly of Brahma, and at that time Ganga came carrying the water for Brahma to worship the Lord. And at that time she was carrying the pitcher, earthen pot, to carry the Ganga water. And at that time, in a breeze, her sari got displaced and her breasts became exposed. And then King Pratip just kept on looking at her, while others, they casted their glance below. And Brahma noticed that. Brahma said, you are not fit to stay in Satyaloka. Go down to the earth planet. But since you desired Ganga, your desire will be fulfilled. Ganga will become your wife. So this king Pratip became Shantanu. And Ganga was meant to be his wife. So, see, the linking. You see, this is the proof that Vedic narrations are not fictitious. They are factual representation of what happened. And this also shows the karmic reactions. Things that happen to us is, in the material nature, is a result of our karmic reactions. Prakriti kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasaha. In this material nature, everything happens due to guna and karma. We act in different modes, and accordingly we get the result. The action in the mode of goodness has certain kind of result, reaction, mode of passion another kind, and mode of ignorance another kind. And this is what is happening in the material nature. We act, those actions are executed in different modes, and accordingly we get the result and we become liable to the reactions of those actions. So, so now, these Vasus had been cursed. They wanted to be, in order to become free from their curse, they had to be born as children of Ganga. And the condition was that right after their birth they will be delivered. So Ganga agreed, and the way to do it is become the wife of Shantanu. And that's why Ganga made that condition. When Shantanu, while he was hunting in the forest, one day he came across this beautiful woman. And he approached her, "Who are you?" And she said, "I'm Ganga. Oh, I want to marry you." A Kshatriya can propose like that. And she said, "Fine, I would marry you on one condition, that you'll never question my actions." So Shantanu agreed. And they got married. In due course of time, one son was born. Can you imagine the joy that was experienced by everyone at that time? The prince is born. But what did the mother do? Ganga? She took the child, threw him in the river. Shantanu remembered his commitment. He would never question her action or never try to prevent her. So, in this way, one after another, 7 children were born. And all of them were thrown in the river right after their birth. See the background? See the consequence? 7 of them were supposed to be delivered right after their birth. Then the 8th son is born. And while Ganga was carrying the son to the river, to throw him in the river, Shantanu said, "Why are you doing that? You are the mother. Being the mother, you are just killing your newborn children like this. Why is that? Please spare this one. Don't throw this one." Ganga said, "Fine. Your desire will be fulfilled. But now I have to go. You broke your promise. But anyway, this child is newborn, so he'll need my protection. So I will take him with me to the heavenly planet. And then, in course of time, when he grows up, then I'll return him back to you." So this is how Ganga actually took this 8th son. Who is that? Devavrata. His name was Devavrata. So Ganga took her to the heavenly him to the heavenly planet, and there he got trained on Shastra by the guru of the demigods, Brihaspati. Brihaspati taught him the scriptures. And Parasuram taught him how to fight. So you can see what a wonderful combination. Trained by the guru of the demigods on Shastric understanding and trained by Parashuram, the incarnation of the Lord, as his Astra Guru. He learned the military art from him. And then when he grew up, when he was about 16 years old, Ganga brought him to the earth planet. And one day Shantanu was hunting in the forest. He was very fond of hunting. So he was hunting in the forest, and all of a sudden he saw that Ganga is not flowing. Ganga is not flowing, so he became curious. What's the matter? Why the river is not flowing? There's no water in the river. So he moved to find out what was that. Upstream he went. And then he found that one young boy, he's shooting arrows with such a speed that the flow of Ganga has been stopped. So he became curious. Who are you? And then Ganga came out and she says, he is your son. Take him back. So that is how father and son met again. Shantanu met Devavrata, his son. And since then they became constant companions. Shantanu found not only his son, but he found a friend, a companion in him. They were constantly together and very fond. Shantanu was very fond. And Devavrata also was very fond of his father. So one day, Shantanu went to forest. That day, Devavrata didn't go with him. Generally, they would go together to hunt in the forest. And while he was hunting, he got the very beautiful fragrance of lotus. And lotuses are very fragrant. See what happened in Kali Yuga, lotuses lost its fragrance. You don't get a little fragrance, but you don't get the real fragrance that lotus originally has. So he went looking for that and he wanted to find out where this fragrance is coming from. And then he came to the river, Ganges, and he saw that one beautiful young girl is taking the passengers across the river. When people are coming, taking them across the river. And it was actually coming from her body. Her fragrance was so strong that she had a name, Jojan Gandha. Jojan means 8 miles. 2 miles make a krosha and 4 kroshas make a jojan. So 8 miles. Her fragrance used to spread up to 8 miles. And she was extremely beautiful, so he asked her for marriage. She said, well, if you want to marry me, then go to my father. Take his permission. So who is your father? My father is the king of the fishermen. So he went and asked him. So he said, well, it's my good fortune. You, the king, want to marry my daughter. But I have one condition, that her son would become the king. Only on that condition I can offer my daughter to you. And he actually made that condition because there was a prediction when in India, at the time of birth, the horoscopes are made. And the horoscopes actually forecast the future. And her horoscope actually mentioned that her son would become the king. So that's why he made that condition. My son, my grandson, my daughter's son has to become the king. So Shantanu said, look, I already have a son. He is already coronated as the crown prince. So he is the successor to the throne. So he said, then I'm sorry, I can't offer my daughter to you. So dejected, Shantanu went back to his palace. Bhishma noticed that his father was looking very morose and dejected. So he asked, what happened? Why are you looking so depressed? He said, no, nothing happened. It's all right. So he went and asked the chariot driver, what actually happened? So he narrated the whole incident. So Bhishma said, can you take me to that place? He said, yeah. So he went, at that time he was Devavrata. He went to that fisherman, king of the fishermen, Dhivararaj, and told him that, look, my father wanted to marry your daughter and you declined because her son, he could not promise, my father couldn't promise that your daughter's son will become the king. He didn't do that. He couldn't do that because I am the successor to the throne. But I am relinquishing my right over the throne. Please offer your daughter to my father. This person was very smart, Dhivaraj. He said, fine, you are relinquishing your right over the throne, but what about your children? This generation probably will go by, but the next generation, they'll start fighting over the throne. So Bhishma said, okay, I take a vow that I'll never get married. And this was such a terrible vow for a Kshatriya. Kshatriyas are in the mode of passion. They are very much inclined towards sense gratification. And they are always surrounded by this very, very opulent environment, surrounded by beautiful women. So maintain a vow like that would be very, very difficult. But Bhishma took that vow that I will never get married. So this was such a terrible vow that the demigods started to exclaim, Bhishma, Bhishma, meaning, what a terrible vow he has taken, what a terrible vow he has taken. And they started to shower flowers from the heavenly planets. So that is how he actually got the name Bhishma. So this is how the arrangement was made, that Shantanu would marry Padmagandha, this beautiful daughter of the fisherman, Padmavati. And so when his father got to know that, Shantanu got to know that he has taken such a vow, just in order to please him, just in order to let him marry the girl that he desired, that his father gave him a benediction. You will not die unless you want to die. That means he practically became immortal. He wouldn't die unless he himself wanted to die. Now see, the course of destiny, Vasishta's curse was that out of those 8, the 7 will get delivered right after their birth. But the one who really stole, who actually physically stole the cow, he'll have to stay on the earth planet for a long, long time. So it is being secured in this way that he'll have to stay for a long, long time. There, the curse over there becomes a benediction here. So this is how Bhishma actually was to live for a long, long time. And in the battle of Kurukshetra, Bhishma Dev actually took a vow. Okay, first Krishna took a vow. Krishna made a vow. Krishna assured Duryodhana that he won't fight in this battle. He won't touch any weapon. It actually happened in order to get Krishna on their side. Arjun went and Duryodhana also went. Duryodhana went before to Krishna. He went straight to Krishna's bedroom and he was sitting near Krishna's head on a chair. Arjun came afterwards and Arjun sat near Krishna's feet. So then when Krishna woke up, he saw Arjun and asked, "Oh Arjun, when did you come?" Duryodhana jumped up. "No, I came before. So you have to entertain me first." Krishna said, "Look, I saw him first. That's why I greeted him first. And anyway, what do you want?" And both said, "We want you to side with us." And Krishna said, "Well, I'll make one condition. I can't side with both. So I can be on, if I side with someone, I won't fight. I won't fight the battle. I'll be there, but I won't fight the battle. And the other side, though he can have my entire army, Narayani Sena, my entire army." Anyway, so since Arjun I saw first, and besides that Arjun is younger, so the first choice will go to Arjun. "Arjun, what do you want? Do you want me or do you want the army? My army." Arjun said, "Krishna, I want you." Duryodhana actually jumped up in ecstasy. What a fool. Krishna is not going to fight, so what's the point in having him? So that is the attitude of a non-devotee. They see things from material perspective. They can't see things from the spiritual perspective. They didn't see Krishna, who Krishna is. They don't know who Krishna is. But Arjun knew, so therefore Arjun actually wanted Krishna. And that's why Duryodhana got the army of Krishna, but Arjun got him, and Krishna became his chariot driver. And we saw the benefit. There were so many occasions when Arjun was bound to die. There was nothing could save Arjun. But because Krishna was there, he was saved time and time and time again. One classic occasion was, there was a serpent, a snake. These are celestial snakes. When Arjun was burning the Khandava forest for Agnidev to eat it up in order to get cured of his indigestion. So at that time one snake lost his whole family, this snake, and somehow he escaped, and he took a vow that he would kill Arjuna, take revenge. And he actually, the snake, came to Duryodhana and sided with him. And he took the shape of an arrow. This arrow was supposed to, as an arrow he was supposed to kill Arjuna. When the arrow was shot, what did Krishna do? He just pressed the chariot with his feet and it went down a few feet. And the arrow hit Arjuna on the crown and took the crown off. So this is how Krishna saved Arjuna time and time again. So Bhishma Dev, when he heard that Krishna is not going to fight, he took a vow. Oh, Krishna is not going to fight. I will make him take up a weapon. Because Bhishma Dev's mellow with Krishna was Viraras, the mellow of chivalry, that is derived, the joy derived out of fighting a battle. And that day, Bhishma was fighting so fiercely that Arjuna was in total distress. Seeing Arjuna's condition, Krishna couldn't tolerate that. He just jumped out of the chariot, picked up the broken wheel of a chariot, and he attacked Bhishma. You must have seen that picture. Krishna is running towards Bhishma with the wheel of a chariot as if that is a Sudarshan Chakra, and Arjuna holding on to his feet, preventing him. Please, please, don't break your vow. You have taken a vow that you won't touch any weapon. So Bhishma Dev was remembering that. It has been so beautifully described. Krishna's hair was disheveled with the dust of the battlefield, was giving it the hue of reddish hue. Like a lion with a wheel in his hand, he was charging towards me. So, so that is what Bhishma Dev wanted to see Krishna in that way. And so because here Srila Prabhupada is making one point, few points that Prabhupada is making here is very important. That at the time of death, when one remembers Krishna, when one sees Krishna, either externally or internally, meaning physically Krishna is present in front of him, or internally in his heart he sees Krishna, he achieves his perfection. Ante Narayana Smriti. At the time of death, one must remember Krishna. And when one does that, as this verse is saying, in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, those who left their bodies seeing Krishna, they all achieved spiritual perfection. Sarup. They have achieved their spiritual perfection. So in this way we can see that Krishna consciousness is actually a process that teaches us how to die. Nowadays, one culture has become very prevalent, the art of living. As opposed to that, our culture is the art of dying. Art of living, everybody knows, especially the Americans know very well the art of living. You don't have to teach them the art of living. But what is important is the art of dying. And if we know how to die, then we achieve our spiritual perfection. If we know how to die, then we achieve the life of eternal life, immortality. If we know how to die, we achieve immortality. We become immortal. So that is Krishna consciousness. And Prabhupada is also making one point, that the yogis, the mystic yogis, the goal of their life is to achieve samadhi. Samadhi means to be in trance, merging in Brahma Jyoti. But they artificially try to do that, meditate on something that is not feasible. And Prabhupada is also making one point, that they think that they have achieved samadhi, they have achieved their spiritual perfection, but they don't. They come back again. They have to come back again. And this has been explained in a verse, Srimad Bhagavatam, that is, Jeyanna aravindaksha vimukta maninas tajjasta bhavad abhishuddha buddhayo arujya krichena parang padam tata patanti adha anadrita jushmadam raya. Jeyanna aravindaksha vimukta maninas, desiring to become liberated. In order to achieve liberation, they perform severe austerities, and as a result of their austerities, they become elevated to a great height. Param Padam, they come almost back to the spiritual world, Brahma Jyoti. They don't come to the Brahma Jyoti actually. But because they have disregarded the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, patanti adha, they fall down. Because they have disregarded the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they fall down. And this also has been explained as Lord Shiva is guarding the gate of Vaikuntha. And if anybody tries to trespass there, Lord Shiva hurls his trident. And being struck by his trident, they lose their consciousness and they fall down. Without devotional service, no one can enter into the spiritual world. Those who are trying to enter into the spiritual world by means of austerities and penances and other such means, yoga siddhi, they cannot. Without devotion, one cannot get entrance, because the gate is being guarded and they are struck by the trident and they lose their consciousness and then they fall down, losing their consciousness. At the most, they give out certain light, becoming a diamond or some precious jewel, and they think, Aham Brahmasmi, I have become Brahman. So this is how it becomes, time and time again, it is becoming clear that without devotional service, one cannot enter into the spiritual world. On the other hand, when one takes to spiritual life, then he is automatically situated in the spiritual platform. Although they may be here in this material nature, but they are actually spiritually situated. Just like the king's employees in the prison house, are they prisoners or they are free individuals? Similarly, those who accept the servitorship to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to them this material nature becomes a place of their situation is free. They are free individuals. They are not bound, they are not conditioned, they are not imprisoned in the material nature. So, anyway, this is how we must recognize the importance of spiritual life, the importance of the gift that Srila Prabhupada has given us, and let's take full advantage of this wonderful gift that Srila Prabhupada gave, and let's make our life successful. Today is the 50th anniversary of our temple here. And of course this temple was not there. Our movements were started at that time, 50 years back. So we are here to celebrate. And so I'll end the class now. I think from 9 o'clock another session is beginning. Huh? Okay. 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 Does anybody have any? Yeah. Yeah. The mic.
If we compare Greek tragedy, it's a genre of literature where people are destined to suffer in life and they can't get out of it. With this pastime of Lord Bhisma, we see that even if one is destined to suffer, the fact that they become Krishna conscious means they can go through the suffering and attain perfection. Even though the suffering in a normal case is unbearable, whereas in Greek tragedy there's no way of getting out of it.
Right, yeah. That reminds me that the Western, not only, I mean the Western drama actually took to the Greek tragedy, that standard. Everything ends in a tragedy. Whereas the Vedic Natya Shastra must end in a comedy, must end in perfection. Like that reminds me, there's a very famous German dramatist, Bertolt Brecht. He has a famous drama called Threepenny Opera, right? In the Threepenny Opera, the thing ends that the hero is hanged rather. Now it has been translated into Bengali drama. And how the Bengali drama ended. That guy, the hero, is hanged. But then Lord Shiva comes playing his damaru, and Lord Shiva says that he starts to repeat all that he had done. Like he has killed people, he has cheated people, he has stolen, robbed. And he says, because of all that, I'm giving you the benediction that you'll become a politician. So he is revived and given the benediction that way. So, like in a humorous way, it ends in a comedy. Yeah, that's a very good point actually. Like in Vedic culture, because it's Krishna conscious, it always ends in a favorable way.
One more point. Because the Greek culture and Greek philosophy was used by the Christians to understand the reality of Christ, the Christians crafted an idea of hell. According to Christianity, if you go to hell, you stay there. There's no way of getting out. But in Krishna consciousness, even if you go to hell, you can be saved.
Yeah.
Because people like Narada Muni will go there, and there are special things.
True, yeah.
So you see how the farther you go west from Vedic culture, the more it becomes hopeless, actually.
Yeah, that's true, yeah. And the poor Jesus Christ has to suffer for them.
He has to suffer.
Yeah. Down the Prashad.
This question often comes in our Bhagavad Gita classes where we conduct. What kind of devotee Bhishma is, because we call him as the Mahajan, a great devotee, but at the same time he was part of this whole Kauravas machinations, whatever they did.
Yeah.
So how did he really become a devotee when he knows he's actually on the wrong side?
Yeah. So Bhishma Dev there are mixed devotees, Karma Mishra Bhakta and Jnana Mishra Bhakta, and then Shuddha Bhakta, Jnana Karmad Anabritam. So Bhishma Dev is considered to be a Jnana Mishra Bhakta at the initial stage. But then he is a pure devotee. Right? Jnana Karmad Anabritam. In that respect, there is a very nice anecdote that Bhishma Dev is instructing Yudhishthira Maharaj about principle of morality, principle of ethics. Bhishma Dev noticed that there was a trifle smile in Draupadi's face. So he asked, Draupadi, why are you smiling? Draupadi said, where was your consideration of morality and ethics when these rogues were trying to disrobe me in an assembly? So Bhishma Dev answered that that time my consciousness was contaminated due to the food I was eating of Duryodhana. But now that bad blood has been drained out of my body, and now my consciousness became purified. Anyway, ultimately we have to consider that these are the pastimes. Like different actors, just as in a drama, different actors play different roles. In Krishna's pastimes, also like a drama, and different individuals are playing different roles. And as Prabhupada is pointing out, that ultimately everyone gets rewarded because they played the role perfectly. Jai, Vijay playing a certain role, terrible roles, right? Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha, Ravan, Kumbhakarna, Shishupal, Dantavakra. You just feel like beating them up, right, when you see their activities and attitude. But ultimately they're rewarded because playing the role so nicely. Yes, Harivilas.
Prabhupada has said that in Krishna consciousness there's no punishment, only reward.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It's hard to understand that if a person has doubts about Krishna and the path of Krishna consciousness, but someone who is seriously involved, who's actually connecting through chanting and hearing, they know that ultimately, Kuntiha Pratijani Name Bhakta Pranasiti, my devotee will never perish. So another point that's interesting is that when you see someone like Srila Prabhupada who completely went through Grihastha life, who was successful and who failed materially, right? And when he was speaking to Srimati Murarji about going to America, she tried to convince him not to, because she said, you're too old. You don't know what America is like. But yet, because he had complete faith in the instructions of his guru and Krishna, the two parallel rails back to Godhead, he was determined to go to America. And because of that, he also suffered 2 heart attacks on the boat. He comes to America, his translation of Bhagavad Gita is stolen, his typewriter is stolen. It looked hopeless. But because he had faith in the prophecy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that this will be spread all over the world, And one interesting thing was 1996, when we celebrated the 100th centenary celebration of Srila Prabhupada. We organized a program, or I organized a program in San Jose, and we invited all the Gaudiya Math devotees who had left ISKCON and went to other movements. And the keynote speaker was Govinda Maharaj, Sridhar Maharaj's disciple. At that time, he said, "Today, I'm going to be like your Christians. You Christians, you make confession. Today, I'm going to confess." He said, when my Guru Maharaj, speaking about Sridhar Maharaj, and I were in Navadvip, and we were hearing about your Prabhupada being so successful in the West. We had discussed this many times, he said, that and from our point of view, it was impossible to preach in the West. That so many great devotees were sent by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and they failed. So we were convinced that it's not possible. Then we were heard that your Prabhupada was succeeding. We still did not believe it. It's only when I began to travel around the world and I saw it with my own eyes. Again, I could hardly believe it. How he did this.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah, so Srila Prabhupada quotes that verse, Vyavasatmika buddhi Kurunandana. So in other words, one must have absolute faith in Guru and Krishna.
Yeah, sure. So maybe we have a few minutes for last question. Yes?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, I had two questions. One of them was, like in the purport it says that Bhishma Dev is an associate of the Lord and, but I think you were explaining the background of Bhishma Dev, so he came from heavenly planets, so how do we connect those 2 points that, he's an associate, but then actually he's also coming from
Good
heavenly
point,
planets?
very good point. Like, as I also mentioned, like, no, he has another question. There's give it to him. You see, as I mentioned, that Krishna's pastimes are like a drama. Or the drama that we enact in the material nature is actually the perfect reflection of Krishna's pastimes. So just in a drama, we have different persons playing the roles. Somebody is playing the role of a villain, right? When he's playing the role, it seems that he's such a terrible person. But in real life, probably he's a very nice person. He's playing the role, he's acting. So similarly, in Krishna's pastime, say consider, king is staging a drama. Who will act in those dramas? King's own people, isn't it? Like, king is not just going to get Tom, Dick and Harry to play different roles. It's king's close individuals will play different roles in that drama that's organized by king. And in a drama, the three things are absolutely essential. The protagonist, the hero, the antagonist, the villain, and the heroine. Right? So you'll notice in Krishna's pastimes, there are villains, because drama means conflict. The more the conflict, better the drama. Right? So similarly in Krishna's pastimes, we see that the demons are conflicting. Right? But ultimately, the hero wins, no matter how powerful the demon is. So these roles are actually played by different individuals. So Bhishma Dev, as Prabhupada very correctly pointed out, Prabhupada is saying that Bhishma Dev, Arjuna, they're all Krishna's eternal associates. And they're playing their roles. So that is how we have to look at it, you know. And the point is, a good drama must have two aspects, two features: entertainment and education. So Krishna's pastimes, what can be more entertaining, like especially for devotees? They are just thrilled, you know, to hear about Krishna's pastimes. And the education, what do we learn? What is the bottom line? There is hero, Krishna, and there are demons, right? Never side with the demons, always side with Krishna, right? Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam braja. That's the bottom line. So through this drama, through Krishna's pastimes, that's what we are learning. Just surrender unto Krishna. Don't ever worry about anything. Okay, quickly, what's your next question?
I just wanted to ask, when we are dealing with things in the material world, we set goals for ourselves, I want to do that. And then we, when we have failures, how do we understand that, okay, this is happening because of my, past reactions and, not something else?
The thing is that, Krishna time and time again is pointing out, in the material nature, success and failure, pleasure and pain will come in cycles, just like days and nights. As the seasons change, they come in cycle. So don't be affected by that. Be concerned about the ultimate point. What is the ultimate point of life? Death. Death. Just consider how you're going to die. And prepare yourself so that you can remember Krishna at that very critical point. And if you can do that, your life is successful. Right? And just accept whatever comes on your way as a lesson to surrender to Krishna. If there is happiness, thank Krishna for that happiness. If there is distress, surrender to Krishna and pray to him. Krishna, please save me from this situation. Thank you very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari.